Hi guys, thank you for joining me on this first ever live stream of FSiPanel. Before I start and we crank the 737, please let me ask you if you can hear me well, as this is the first setup I'm doing on the sound. So if it's all okay, please just write something in the chat that you can hear me well, and then we can go ahead. I'm sitting on a beautiful terrace here at Saint Maarten. I've been there already a couple of years ago with my wife, and this is one of the best places where you can see landings. Excellent place. All right, so thank you for joining me today. I see Alain from France. Alain is one of the pilots that helped us doing the French voices for the scenario in Lyon. Maybe you flew that one. So thank you, Alain, for joining. Then I see Rai Von Keen, we have Ray Marks. Thank you everybody for joining me. This is I'm very happy to see so many people on the first live stream. So let me tell you what we are going to do today for this first ever live stream of FSiPanel. So here what happened with the aircraft, you can see that we are sitting now in Saint Maarten Airport. And what happened here, this beautiful 737 here, Air Transat, was scheduled to fly from Canada to Guadeloupe, in fact, and due to a low ceiling at destination, they were not able to land. So what happened there? They diverted right here. And now the weather is kind of improving. This is not the actual weather. I will change it in a minute. I just want to show you here the beautiful scenery, but then we are going to put the real weather that they were facing. So they were not able to land, and they end up right there. Now they have been told that the weather has improved, and they can fly the aircraft back to Guadeloupe with the passengers as well, which want to enjoy their holidays over there. So yeah, that's what we are going to do, and I will show you with FSiPanel how we can set up that scenario, and then we will fly that scenario together. The flight is quite short, around 35 minutes, and we have a bit of IFR basic things, so this is a nice demonstration for you. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. As it's my first stream, guys, I might miss some of your comments. So if you ask a question and I don't reply immediately, please just write it down again. I will be pleased to answer all of your questions, even after the stream. If I see on the chat that I missed some of yours, then I will reply. All right, so the first part, we do this short flight. Then what I suggest we do on the second part, when we land, hopefully, if we land over there, then we are going to try the same approach again, but this time we will have a dual FMC failure. So we'll see if we can fly the same approach completely conventional. So that's a nice training as well. With a dual FMC failure, we have to do everything manually. And if we have time, and if you are still awake, then on the last part, we can do something interesting. I will show you how an easy mistake or a small mistake basically can jeopardize the aircraft, and you can risk the aircraft and the passengers. So I will try to demonstrate that to you as well on the very last part of this video. All right, so let's jump in the cockpit of our 737. And as you can see, I haven't done anything yet. So we are going to use FSiPanel to set up the scenario, and then we will go ahead. So I already imported here the weather and everything, so I didn't want to lose too much time here on the beginning. So what I will do, I will change to the actual weather now, the one that the crew was facing when they came earlier today. So let's go for the scenario weather. If you want to fly it later on, this is the scenario. The scenario is called Air Transat 8904. So you will find the weather file for the scenario. Where is it? Right there. I didn't see it here. Okay, so I'll just reproduce the weather. Fine. And we are going to use FSiPanel. So let me start now FSiPanel, and you will see how to set up that approach. All right, so here we are in FSiPanel, and you can see that Princess Juliana has been detected on runway 10. And we are going now to select the scenario. So I'm going to the training scenarios, and here you can see that the scenario is not there. So I will open the scenario manager, and the one we want is the latest Air Transat 8904. So that's the one we want to fly. So I will just download the scenario to install it, and then what we can do is sim brief flight plan. I will show you as well what that means and why you should use that if you want to fly a scenario with FSiPanel. If you click on sim brief flight plan, what's happening is the following. On your browser, you will get sim brief, so you should be signed in with your account, and there you will get the complete routing inserted by FSiPanel already. So the only thing you have to do is then click generate flight, and as you can see, everything has been populated already, and when you generate the flight, then we will be able to import the flight plan and everything into our 737. So that's very nice if you want to have your approach chart ready. So that's the first thing to do. And then if we go back to FSiPanel, then what we will do is have a look at the lesson plan. So the lesson plan, let me open it. Every scenario comes with this kind of lesson plan. And again, thanks to Alan, he did the model here for these nice scenarios. And this is the scenario that we are flying today. It's Air Transat 894. They are from Canada. And we are flying today to Pointe-à-Pitre. So it's a short flight. And what will be challenging there is the weather. So we're going to have to be ready with the weather. And airport is Saint-Martin. We are on runway 10 for departure. We are right now at stand Alpha 2. And the aircraft weight and fuel is already set by FSiPanel. The routing is set by FSiPanel. What is challenging there is the weather. As you can see, we are departing runway 10. We have 8,000 meters of visibility with rain. The wind is on the axis, so not a big issue. Overcast 700 feet, so that's really low. Overcast 5,000 feet, and then we have temporary heavy showers of rain. Same kind of weather at destination, and the problem that they had this morning, you can see there, the NOTAMs. So we have a localizer 1-2 unserviceable at destination, and the RNP approaches as well are under certification, so we cannot use them. So basically we are left with only one approach, which is the VOR runway 12 in Guadeloupe, and this is why they didn't see the runway, and now we should just be able to see the runway. So this is what we will do. And then if you want to fly that scenario later on, now obviously you will see it, but if you are new to the training scenario, this is all the information you get with the tips, what you should do, and tips as well for your navigation. And of course, if you don't want to look at that, just stop right there. And this is after you manage or didn't manage the scenario, you can go ahead there and have a look at what went wrong. And at the end, you have the frequencies that we need to use. All right, so let's go back into our aircraft now. And we are going to import everything. But I just need to import the weather file. So obviously I have to restart the simulator. I'm very sorry about that. This is something that I wanted to show you how to import from the beginning. And for that reason, the weather file, as we can see here, let me show you that. The weather file is unfortunately not there. And this is something that if you follow exactly my tutorial, and I did the mistake here, obviously that's the first thing we see today in the live stream. So if you install a weather scenario like I did now, obviously, unfortunately, we cannot see here the weather file. So we need to install the scenario when the simulator is off. So I will quickly restart the sim. That will take 2 minutes, and I'll be back with you. I'm very sorry about that. Let's do that together. Restart the sim, and then we will, in the same time, look at the approach plates and everything while the sim is restarting. So today we are departing from Juliana 2 departure. Here, and we are just going to close the sim, restart it, and then we'll be able. So that's good, because then you can see exactly the steps that are required in order to fly the training scenario. And I'm very sorry about that. We're going to lose around 5 minutes, and that was not planned, obviously. So that's, I'm learning today, and yeah, I'm happy to have you here on board with me. All right, so here we are. So I'm starting the sim again. Okay, simulator is starting, and in the same time I will have a look with you at the chart. So this is the Juliana 2 departure that we will be getting as per the clearance. So this one is this departure is an interesting one because you have to turn immediately to the right. We have terrain in front and we will see that. So what we have to do here, if you look at the chart itself, it says to as soon as practicable turn right. Okay, as you might be aware, the 737 we cannot engage any mode below 400 feet. So you will see that, we will try that so you can see it by yourself. But we will turn right as soon as practicable and we will have the S-van transition. So we need to intercept the track Papa Juliet Mike 166, cross 10 DME at or above 4,000 feet, and then advise ATC if not available. So that's what we will do on the departure. For the taxi is quite straightforward. If we have a quick look at the taxi from there, we are position Alpha 2. So we expect a pushback facing to the west and taxi obviously to Bravo or Alpha for runway 10. All right, so let's see our simulator. It's still starting, still on the way. So once this is ready, you will see. In the meantime, I'll try to answer some of your questions. I see that you have questions, so let me have a look at your question. Okay, I see first question. I'm still getting a line IRS message when I start FSiPanel in the 737. Okay, so this is happening sometimes when you reinstall the PMDG or if you do an update, then the SDK is not enabled anymore and FSiPanel needs the SDK enabled to communicate with your 737. So the easy fix for that is to go in FSiPanel directory and you delete the file config.xml. Then you start MSFS with the 737, you start FSiPanel and the SDK will be again enabled and then you can go ahead and fly again your 737. So what is next? Saad Harib, can you please tell me how to set altimeter, please bro? What do you want to know about the altimeter? Can you be more precise what you want to know about the altimeter? Bro, I had to delete, thank you, that was the answer. Perfect, so the sim is ready. As you can see, we are on the simulator. So what we will do here, so you can follow with me, I'm going to select exactly as per the lesson plan. Tango November Charlie Mike. Then we are going for Alpha 2. So this is exactly what you will have to do if you want to fly that training scenario. Then the weather. This time we should get the weather file. So hopefully we have it here now. Here it is. So it's the Air Transat 8904. And now you can select the time of departure. So I suggest we go by day. It's a very nice scenery. So let's go like 12:30 in the afternoon. Fly. And here we go in the sim. And you will see how fast FSiPanel can program everything for you. And then we do a quick brief and we go in the air for that quick flight. So like for me, it says 2963, but I don't know what to do with it in the 737. Okay, so I will explain that once we are in the cockpit. All right, here we are in the 737. And to answer your question, you can see that right now, the altimeter here in my cockpit is 29902. So now we can choose the altimeter either in the hectopascal or in inch of mercury like in the United States or other countries. So right now, if we go hectopascal, I have 1013, which is the standard setting. We set that after passing the transition altitude. At high altitude, basically, we always fly in standard, which is 1013. And now we need to synchronize this altimeter setting to the actual pressure of the airport. You can see that if I change the value, you see what happened to my altimeter. My altimeter is as well changing. And this is a good question because this is exactly what I want to talk on the last part of that video, how easily you can jeopardize the aircraft. So yeah, we will talk about it a little bit later. Okay, so we are in the now in our 737. You can see that's the weather we have now. And what is good about this training scenario is that we have vicinity showers of rain. So we have heavy rain right now on the airport, and maybe in 5 minutes the sky is almost clear. And this is why the lesson plan will tell you that you have 50% of chance that you need to go around, basically. So if you need to go around on the scenario, that's completely normal. If you can land, then it's your luck. So we'll see on our approach if we can land or if we have to go around. All right, so let's start FSiPanel, and we will now import the scenario. That will take us 2 minutes, and we'll be ready to go ahead and fly. So we start FSiPanel. We make sure, as always, that we have the airport here, runway 10, and the 737 has been selected. And now what I need to go, training scenario, Air Transat 8904, and I will just click Start Training. That's it. And now FSiPanel will do everything, so you can see in real time how your cockpit will be set for this training scenario. We're going to have the routing, as you can see, the weight, the fuel, everything will be set for you. If you fly in pounds, it doesn't matter. FSiPanel will put the weight in pounds. So that's completely up to you what you want to do. Pounds, kilos, you can just go ahead and do whatever you want. All right, then after a few seconds, the next message you will see on your screen is the beginning of the scenario. So here you go, you can see here, scenario starts now. Contact delivery on 12165, and the ATIS is available on COM2 on 12345. All right, so 12345, COM2 always for departure airport, arrival airport, and alternate airport. So remember 12345. So just click acknowledge, and from now on, we are on the training scenario. So here, what we do, because we did the SimBrief flight plan, we can just go to the electronic flight bag. This is optional, but as you can see, I request data from SimBrief, and I have my whole flight plan. Very nice, I can see what's happening there. Now if I click on the flight plan, I get the flight plan with all the information I need. And if I go to my chart, I'm going to have all the chart for departure, arrival, and alternate. So this is why it's very nice to use the SimBrief flight plan. And I see another question from John McGear. What other aircraft can you use the scenario? So the scenario can be used on any aircraft that can meet the cruising altitude. So when you go to the scenario manager, you can select generic aircraft, and it will tell you which altitude you need to fly. So for that scenario, it's flight level 230. So if you want to fly that with the ATR, you can do it. If you want to fly that with any aircraft, you can do that. The only difference is that you will have to set up your cockpit by yourself. So you start the scenario, now you do all your cockpit preparation, and from there you can go ahead and fly. All right, so we are sitting on ground. We are ready to depart. FSiPanel has done everything for us, including the performance. So what we will do now, we briefed already the departure. I will just select the correct chart. So airport, we want that one. So I will just put this. On the SID, we are going to go Juliana. Departure, this one. And then on the arrival, we are going to put the approach VOR12. That's the one we expect as per the NOTAM. And I guess that's it for now. So now let's have a look at our aircraft preparation. It's all done. We have 5,000 feet. So we are going to request the clearance. Before we request the clearance, always remember we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's another thing you will be able to tell me if you can hear the ATIS. Because if you don't hear the ATIS, we're going to be in big trouble. So let's see if you hear the ATIS. Please let me know in the chat.
0, surface wind 080, 12 knots, visibility 5 kilometers, showers of rain, cloud overcast 600 feet. This is Saint Martin information echo, runway in use 10, surface wind 080, 12 knots, visibility 5 kilometers, showers of rain, cloud overcast 600 feet, overcast 5,000 feet, temperature 30. Dew point 18, QNH 1024, transition level flight level 65, acknowledge received Saint Martin information echo.
Okay, we have information echo. Did you get information echo? Did you hear the ATIS? If you can just tell me if you got the ATIS, because the whole scenario will be with full ATC. So if you don't hear the ATIS, you will obviously not hear as well the rest. Perfect. Thank you, guys. I see that you are saying yes, yes, yes. So beautiful. So we have the ATIS. As expected, we have the wind from the headwind, 5 kilometers, hours of rain. And again, that beauty of that scenario, guys, is that you never know if you're going to land. And you will see that when we reach destination. So the lesson plan tells you that if you cannot land, you have to do a circling by yourself for the ILS approach, and that will be the end of the scenario. So basically it will train your IFR flying, maybe a go around, and then you end up with an ILS. Okay, so let's call the clearance. So 12165, that's clearance delivery, and I'm going to call using my push to talk button, and we go. One thing as well, I use the auto tuning, so that's an option in FSiPanel. So the auto tuning, as soon as you have to change frequency, you have to wait like 2 or 3 seconds, and the next frequency will be dialed for you. So that's nice if you have too much workload. Sometimes it's a short scenario, and dialing the frequency nose down is not that easy. So that's a feature that I put on for this purpose. All right, so let's go request the clearance and see what happened. Delivery, very good morning. Air Transat 8904, stand Alpha 2. Ready to pick up IFR clearance to Guadeloupe Le Rezé. We have information Echo, and it's a Boeing 738.
Air Transat 8904, good morning. You are cleared to Pointe-à-Pitre, runway 10, Juliana to departure. Is van transition, climb initially 5,000 feet, and the transponder 3354.
Roger, clear to Pointe-à-Pitre, runway 10 for departure. Juliana 2, departure, S-van transition, climb initially 5,000 feet, and the scope is 3354, Air Transat 8904.
Air Transat 894, your readback is correct. When ready for pushback, contact Tower 118.7. Have a nice flight.
Roger, ready for push 1187, Air Transat 8904, bye-bye. All right, so we got the clearance. That's as well another nice tip, and I always use it in the aircraft. You have a very nice scratch pad right there. So basically you can write your clearance right there, or in your first officer FMC, and then you can review everything. So here 5,000 feet, I read it in real time. 3354, we have to set it here. So let's put here 3354. And that's it. So the clearance is as expected, nothing new. We can go ahead now with the pre-flight checklist. So pre-flight checklist, oxygen was tested 100%, navigation, transfer, and display switches. Okay, so those are the switches, and we will play with those switches later on. Those switches are important. Make sure they are in normal. So that's what the checklist meant here. Then Windows Heat, we turn them on with the pre-flight, so they are on. Pressurization mode selector, that one is as well very important. Here you can see that there is no light. If I go manual mode, you can see that there is no warning, and the manual light is just green, which looks normal. But that will be a big problem for you, because the cabin will not pressurize, and by 10,000 feet you're going to have the mask in the cabin. So make sure it's auto. That's why it says to check the pressurization mode selector to automatic. Then we go back to the flight instrument. So flight instrument, here this is the question that had Sad about the QNH. Now you can see that we are set 1024 as per the ATIS, and as well the controller has said 1024. And this, if we check into our chart, if I go to the airport, departure airport, right there, you can see my altitude right there, 14 feet. So here what I should read is the correct altitude plus or minus 50 feet on ground. So you see that if my altimeter setting is wrong, and then I read 200 or 300 feet like now, something is wrong. So here, this is why we check as well that we have the correct QNH or altimeter setting in the United States. You should be within 50 feet, 50 feet, and 50 feet. And this is an example here. You see that, yeah, I see 3024. So I need to go 1024. All right, so now we have that thing done. Then we have flight instrument heading and altimeter. So heading, usually it's the runway heading. In that case, 096 for us today. And altimeter is set. Parking brake, set. And finally, engine start lever. They are cut off. Perfect. All right, then here we are, ready to go. Checklist completed. Let's bring the GS6 to prepare for departure. GS6 and prepare for pushback and departure. And I'm just going to check that I have the correct control here. PMDG. Perfect. I just missed one. Here we go. My joystick was disconnected. Now it should be back on the profile. I hope it's back. Yeah. Keep default control options, and we have 737, 737. Perfect. So that helps me a little bit to fly the airplane if everything works as expected. Okay, let's have a look outside. Hey, Frugal. Nice to see you.
Hello,
I remember when I was watching your stream long time ago. And now you're watching my first stream. That's very, very kind. Thank you to be here. Thank you, everybody, to be here. I see so many people. I was not expecting that many people. And I'm sorry again. I'm not very fluent. I'm not a specialist in the live stream. I hope I will be better. But at least I'm trying my best today with you guys.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
I see you have the FSiPanel widget for flow. Is it also available for the public? Yeah, well, I bought it yesterday because I thought it could be interesting, and I just started to use it, and I'm quite pleased with it. So that's it. That's why I like it.
Locking gear.
All right, here we are in the cockpit locking gear. So I'm going to ask for pushback. So frequency 1187, and here we go. Tower, very good morning. Air Transat 8904, stand Alpha 2. We are ready for push and start.
Air Transat 8904. Tower, hello. Push and start approved. Facing west, and the QNH is 1024.
Roger, thank you. Push and start approved facing west 1024. Air Transat 8904. All right, push and start approved facing west. So that's going to be nose to the left and tail to the right.
Parking brakes.
All right, before we do that, we are just going to do the flow. So the flow here is the following, guys. Pumps on. We have no fuel in the center tank, so we are going to put the main tanks on. We make sure that our seatbelt sign is on. We pressurize the hydraulic, and we put the anti-collision light on. One more thing, transponder, you can go altitude reporting off, so then ATC will see you on the ground. And now I'm releasing the parking brake, and we can do the checklist. Before start, flight deck door is closed and locked. Fuel, we have 6 tons, 4 pumps on. Then passenger signs on. Windows, they are locked, we can see them clearly. MCP, V2 is 145, heading is 096, and we have 5,000 feet initial clearance altitude. Takeoff speed, V1, 131, we rotate 139, V2 145. If you go next page here, you can see that we are wet, and the speed have been computed for a wet runway. Then we have CDO pre-flight completed, rudder and aileron trim, they are 3 and 0. And finally, we have taxi and takeoff briefing completed. Anti-collision light is on. Before start, checklist completed. It's not the best day to look for landing today, I guess. As you can see, the weather, not very nice. So let's start the engines. Okay, to start the engines, we need to get rid of the air. So to do that, we go to the overhead panel again, and we are turning off the packs. By doing that, you have enough bleed pressure from your APU to start your engine. And now we can go ahead and start the engine. So start engine number 2. Number 2 to ground. And then we are monitoring the engine start. So we have an increase of N2. And by 25% N2, we will bring the fuel on. When we bring the fuel on, we are monitoring fuel flow. We should have a light up here. And by 13 psi on the oil pressure, the low oil pressure light should go off. So let's see that now. Fuel on. Have a look at the fuel flow now. It's coming up. Light up. Then you can see oil pressure 13, oil pressure off. Now we monitor N1, N2, and the ITT, the EGT should not reach the red line. By 56% N2, we expect the switch here to go to off, and the first officer will monitor the start valve to close. So we see that now, 56, starter cutout. And this is how we start the engine on the 737. And you will say here, when the red light disappears, the captain will say normal start. And now we can go ahead and start number 1. Same procedure, number 1. Waiting for confirmation. Yeah, you can just wait, please. We're doing it. Yeah, Pete as well was the reference in the live stream. I think I watch almost all of them. I learn a lot from Frugal, and it's so kind to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Okay, so we're monitoring the engine start again. Lights is good. We have N1, we have N2 increasing, and we are waiting again for 56%. Starter cut out, and we wait for the red light. It's got normal start. So now we'll tell the lady that she can disconnect. Confirm good engine start and go ahead.
We have a good engine start. Please disconnect.
All right.
Unlocking gear.
Now what the first officer will do, there is an automatic flow, and the flow is like this. First, we need to put the generator on the bus. So the engine number 1 generator goes on the bus. Generator 2 goes on the bus. Then we need to make sure the probit are on. On some aircraft you will see auto, but we still put them on to force them on. And then we go for the air. So we need to give passengers some air. So we're going to put the 2 packs on. Isolation valve to automatic. What you can remember about that is on ground always have the isolation valve to open. Sometimes we put it to close. This is when we want to start the engine, for example, with high temperature outside. So we start one engine, then we push back, and then we start the other engine. So always make sure it's on automatic, and we can turn off the APU bleed. If you get, like now, a message, try the trip message, the trip button right there, and you get rid of it most of the time. APU can go off, and now we need to switch the engine start switches to continuous, and that's the end for the overhead panel. Now what we will do, we will press recall to make sure we didn't forget anything. No light. We check the engine's parameter. They looks perfect. Then we can close the secondary lower DU. We check the ground signal. Everything looks good. And now the captain will ask for flaps. So if we look here, the performance, it's with flaps 1. So let's go for flaps 1. Flaps 1 set. Perfect. And again, for these flaps, be careful. This is trailing edge, and this is the leading edge. So these two are complete 2 different flap settings on the 737. This is the leading edge. So basically, let me show you that from outside. For those of you that wonder, this is the leading edge. And here we will only indication green when they are in the expected position, while the trailing edge for 737 are right there. So 2 different indications in the cockpit. All right, so the flaps are set. Now we can do the flight control. On some 737 you will have the page with the flight control. On some others you will have only the hydraulic pressure there. So let's try full left, full right, full down, full up, full left for the rudder, center, and full right. So flight control are checked. Perfect. And now we can go for the before taxi checklist. So before taxi checklist, generators, they are on. Then we have the probit. That's the one we put on before right there, on. Anti-ice, 10 degrees or below. With visible moisture, we put them on. Now it's 30 degrees outside, so anti-ice as required. Isolation valve, as we said before, it's on automatic. Engine start switches, continuous. So we have continuous ignitions for the takeoff and landing. Recall was checked. Then we have auto brake, which is on RTO. engine start lever, idle detent. The flight controls were checked, and the ground equipment, we got the clear signal, we are clear to go. Alright, so the checklist is completed. We can go ahead. The only thing I will do now, I'll just try to restart my FSUI PC because I don't have full control on the on my joystick. So give me just a few seconds. I'm restarting the FSUI PC because I programmed everything on FSUI PC. It's very nice if you have, like me, the Trust Master. I was able to program some stuff to help me with the auto throttle, disconnect or go around switch. So that's something I can recommend you to use if you don't want to struggle looking for where you have to press. Alright, so just check that a minute here. Here, button and switches, profile specific, the 737, and we should be fine. Okay, so let's see that. If I go now with my button, yeah, it's working. Alright, we are clear to go. Let's request taxi. Are we on the right frequency? Yeah. Air Transat 894, we are ready for taxi.
Roger, taxi Bravo, hold short, runway 10.
Taxi Bravo, all short 10, Air Transat 894. Alright, so Bravo and all short of 10. So as expected, Bravo, this is where we go. So straight ahead and all short of the runway. So we are going to put the lights on here. I will just use one button of my controller and I have the 3 taxi light coming on. That's perfect. Alright, let's go. Taxi. Brakes off. On the 737, maximum N1 you should put on ground, 40%. Then the aircraft should start moving. And usually when we have around 10 to 12 knots, you can retard your thrust and the aircraft will continue taxiing at around 10 knots. So this is something we should do. Let's see if it works on the 737. So around 40%, you can see the ground speed. And once we reach around 10, then I can retard the thrust. And now the aircraft will continue taxiing. And we go to the left here. What do you think about the taxiing of the PMDG 737 and other aircraft in general in MSFS? I think sometimes the nose wheel is just stuck and you cannot really turn, so you have to use a lot of differential braking. Do you have the same behavior? Do you experience the same, guys? Alright, we are approaching Bravo. So this is where we should all short.
Air Transat 894 via Bravo, enter and backtrack runway 10 and report ready for departure.
Roger, via Bravo, enter and backtrack runway 10, we call you ready for departure, Air Transat 894. Okay, so we can enter and backtrack the runway. So what we will do, we'll put the retractable lights on, we will put the strobe on, the transponder on, and don't forget, cabin crew, take your seat for takeoff. So our cabin crew are seated. Now we can make sure that we are at the right place. So you see Bravo, runway 10, clear to backtrack. I see no aircraft on final. So let's go. I am the pilot flying. I choose to go terrain, and we line up the runway. He said to report ready for departure. So you can see, maybe when you fly the scenario yourself, you will have the clouds right in front of the airport with heavy rain. And this is why we cannot predict anything on that scenario. You might depart with heavy rain and land with a beautiful sunshine, with a beautiful, nice weather in Guadeloupe, or the opposite. Here it looks like we're gonna depart with a nice weather, and we might end up in a challenging arrival. So let's see. Here we go, runway 10. I always use rudder steering for taxiing, full degrees, and then rudder and tiller for takeoff and landing, 7 degrees max. Yeah, that's correct, yeah. We're gonna have 7 degrees authority on the pedals, and even the nose wheel, if I go full deflection sometimes, she doesn't turn, it's like skidding probably on the runway. But okay, I use differential, which on the real airplane, you don't have to. Okay, so let's do the before takeoff. Before takeoff, what do we check? We check that the flaps, they are according to that. So one green light, and stabilizer trim. We should have 5.1. We have 5.1. Perfect. So we are ready. I will call the tower that we are ready for departure. Let's see if somebody is watching for us here. I see nobody here. It's a shame. We fly the scenario from there and they don't put any... I think JSX could start to put people waving here. Here we line up the runway. And I see we have French people as well here today in the stream. So I plan to do the same scenario in French as Guadeloupe, as French ATC, as well as Saint-Martin. So we're gonna have it in French. All right, here we are on the runway. What we check on the runway, we have a correct heading. We are not on the parallel runway. Here there is only one runway, so always check you are in the right place here. Check that your total is arm and that the FD is on, right? Then we can go ready for departure. Air Transat 8904 ready for departure.
Air Transat 8904, cancel SID. When airborne, turn right heading 140. Wind 070 at 8 knots. Runway 10, you are clear for takeoff.
Roger, cancel the SID. When airborne, turn right on heading 140. And we are clear for takeoff, Air Transat 8904. Okay, so we have to cancel the SID and turn right on heading 140. So I will set 140. The reason I'm able to do that now is because we don't fly straight ahead. If you will have departure with straight ahead and ATC gives you this kind of clearance, keep your runway heading in case of engine failure so that you can fly straight. Here, we are not expecting to go in the mountain unless I do a very, very bad mistake here. We're expecting to turn right as soon as possible. So remember, on the 737, we cannot arm heading, we cannot select heading below 400 feet, before the second segment finish. So if I press heading before 400 feet, nothing's gonna happen, and we will check that together. And we are not flying LNAV, so I will disconnect LNAV. All right, I have to put some lights. I think it's because of the weather. You mean the cockpit itself is dark? Let me check if that gets any better here. Maybe that's better. Okay, so we are clear for takeoff. Lights on. Cabin crew are advised. Everything is set. So let's go. So around 40% N1. We check that all the engine's parameters are correct. And then N1. We don't have N1 because the auto throttle disconnect. So press again. N1 toga. Set takeoff thrust. 91.2, thrust set. Flight director is below 10. At 60 knots, it will go up.
80 knots.
Checked. Throttle hold.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. Okay, see if I press heading now, she will not accept. So I start manual right turn, and by 400 feet, heading select. So heading, VNAV speed. Let's put command so we can enjoy the view. Look at this departure, it's beautiful. It's really a nice place to fly. All right, we are turning on heading 140. Correct. How did I know I was not flying LNAV? Because tower told us to fly heading 140 and to cancel the SID. Okay, we are flaps 1, so we wait for the flaps 1 bug.
Air Transat 8904,
Flaps
contact
up.
approach 128.905. Bye-bye.
128.905, Air Transat 8 and 904, bye-bye. So you see now the frequency will be tuned if I wait 2-3 seconds. Obviously, hopefully. Okay, wait a second here. I will just retract the flaps and see what happened there. Flaps up. Nice. Flaps up. No light. Okay, what was the departure frequency? Let's see. Departure hello, Air Transat 8904, 3,300, climbing 5,000.
Air Transat 8904, Juliana approach identified. Continue heading 140 and climb flight level 120.
Continue on the heading 140 and climb flight level 120. Air Transat 8904. 120 set and we continue on the heading. Okay, flaps up, no light. We can do the after takeoff items. So we turn off the retractable light. We can turn off the 3 taxi light. If we are not in icing condition or in severe rain, we can turn off the engine ignitions. We go ahead and turn off the auto brake and we put the gear to
Air
off.
Transat 8904, turn right heading 220 and intercept Saint Martin radial 1662 S1.
Roger, turn right heading 220 and intercept Saint Martin 1662 S1 Air Transat 8904. Alright, set standard. Standard, passing 59 now and it's compared. Alright, now we got the clearance to turn right on heading 220 and to intercept the course 166 to S1. So the first way to do that, and I will show you now the way with the FMC, which is very easy. We want 166 to S1. So what you have to do here is legs, put S1 on top. And if you do that, you can see that now the aircraft wants to go direct to S1, but this is not the clearance. So I have to go 166 to S1. So if I put 166, now I have my white line. This is what we want to fly. And now make sure you wait until the aircraft is stable on the heading 220. Otherwise, she will do whatever she wants to intercept that radial. If you wait until you are on 220 established, then you can press LNAV and she will comply with the ATC instructions. Let's see that. 220, we are stable. I press LNAV. We're going to have LNAV captured, but she will fly straight to intercept the correct course. So that's the first method you can do.
Air Transat 8904, climb flight level 170 and contact radar 119.1. Bye-bye.
Climb 170 and radar on 11901. Sorry, Air Transat 8904. 170 is set and 11901 is set. Thank you. Now you can see that she's turning and we should have 166 if everything goes as planned. And this is the easy way you can program that on the FMC. Then I will show you later on another method. 10,000 feet, lights off. Seatbelt looks good. We can go off. Automatic in that case. We check the pressurization as well. So if we look here, we should have now a PSI, delta PSI is increasing, that needle, and the cabin altitude is increasing slowly, so that's fine. And we make sure we monitor 1215. Radar, hello, this is Air Transat 8904, 11,000, sorry, flight level 110, and we are climbing 170.
Air Transat 8904, hello, you are identified, continue climb flight level 230 and expect new routing shortly. I call you back.
Climb level 230, expecting new routing, Air Transat 8904. Alright, again, a new routing to be expected due to this VOR approach. So 230 set, and that's it. So let's see what we have in the chat. So Sad, yeah, you're only 15, that's good. If you start early and you like it and you have such tool like MSFS, you can really be very good in flying. And what is important is the procedure. Like you can do, what you see today is procedures. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Flying the airplane is like when you drive a bike, and when you drive a car. Once you know, you know. But taking the right decision and doing the right thing, that's another story. So you are not too young. That's perfect. Why did you press standard? Because we have transition altitude. So if you go in the departure SID, this is my departure today, we can see that we have a transition altitude here. Let me zoom a little bit for you. You can see the transition altitude right there, 5,000 feet. So it means any altitude above 5,000, we need to go standard, which is 1013. So all the aircraft, most of them, they have a standard button, and that will put 1013. It will show a standard right there. Passengers today, they won't enjoy the view. Huh? All right, so short flight. Now we are still going here, climbing 230, and we're expecting routing. So we'll see what happens next. Yes, the scenario, the ATC is with FSiPanel. So FSiPanel is doing the ATC for you. You just have to read back and comply with the instruction. If you don't comply with the instructions, if you don't get instructions after 5-10 minutes and you're flying, maybe you're not sure where you are, most probably you screw up somewhere. And this is where we have to be careful when we get radial interceptions and things like on that scenario. If you're not at the right place, then ATC will just not reply, and then you have to repeat the scenario.
Air Transat 8904, turn left heading 100 and intercept radial 320 inbound St. John's VOR. This is Alpha November uniform.
Okay, so turn left on heading 100 and intercept radial 320 inbound St. John VOR. Alpha November uniform. Copy, thank you. Air Transat 8904. All right, another thing. So we go heading 100. That's the first thing to do. Icing condition, we are still good on the temperature. No need to put anti-ice on. So we'll go heading 100, and now we have to figure out this new radial. Okay, so guys, now we need to intercept a radial of a VOR. We maybe don't know the frequency. So if you have an AFB like that, it's very nice because you can see your VOR right there, ANU. So how can I have okay, we won't see it here, but you have ANU there. But we can find it from there. If I put ANU on top, ANU, and I go next page and I put it on top, then the first frequency I see there should be the closest VOR to the aircraft with that ident, in that case Alpha November uniform. So that's probably the frequency. Another way to get it, you go to index, nav data, and it's a navade, and you put Alpha November uniform. And now you will get all the navades that have this ident. And be careful there, do not select that one. So you can see as well the coordinates. So the best way to do, put it on top, what ATC told you, ANU, 14.5, that's 14.5, then you put 14.5. And now we are going to see how to intercept that radial directly from the VOR mode. So he said inbound, he said to intercept the radial 320 inbound. So be very careful with that as well, inbound. So if the radial is 320 inbound, then my course should be 140, which is 180 degrees difference. So easy to calculate, minus 180. So what I do personally, you take the 3 minus 2, that's 1. The 2 minus 2, 4, 140, or you minus 200 plus 20, whatever you want. So here I'm going to show you that we can intercept that with the VOR mode. So I have set the frequency for ANU. I have the ident by the system, so the aircraft is identing the voice of the VOR, so the audio signal of the VOR. I have the correct course, and now what I can do, I can arm VOR lock. And now you can see that VOR lock is armed. So now we are expecting the aircraft to intercept that radial. If I go in the basic mode, we can see the radial. We can see here that we are right now on the 130, so the radial now is coming close to. Now if ATC asks you, what is your current radial to ANU? Well, different way to do it. I show you the easiest way. You press position right there. You press position and you can read there. My radial is 310. That's a method. What you can do as well, you go to fixed page, you put ANU. And now you select the right one and you can see radial 311, which match that one here, 311, 311. So we are good. It means that's correct. We have 44 miles, 44 miles. So that's a way to do position reports if requested by ATC. Oh, thank you, Said. I didn't know we can get tips on that stream. So thank you very much. Highly appreciated. Okay, so now what we can do, we can cross-check that with the FMC. So what I will do here, I will put ANU on top as before. Select the correct one. And I will put the course 140 inbound. And you can see that the line is exactly following the green light. So if I execute, now we can have either the VOR or we can have the LNAV. Both will be working. The LNAV will tell you that right now we are 3.2 miles right of the track that I'm supposed to pick up, which is nice, but we are still VOR lock armed. So we expect the aircraft to intercept the VOR mode. One thing to be very careful if you fly like this with the VOR mode, she will fly whatever is on the captain's side because we are flying with command A. If the first officer is flying that sector, he should set the correct radial on his side because the aircraft will not care about the left indication. Okay, that's very important as well. That's easy to make a mistake in the navigation. Okay, we are turning right, and you can see that if I go into the VOR, then it's perfect. She's doing it. She's doing a very beautiful job turning right on the correct radial. Excellent, isn't it? So we will go in LNAV later on, but now, for now, what we will do is prepare the arrival because everything is gonna go very, very fast. So let's have a look at the ATIS for the arrival now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can see what we have.
100 feet, overcast 4,000 feet, temperature 31, dew point 17, QNH 1024, transition level flight level 100, localizer 12 out of service, RNP approach. This is La Raisette information Foxtrot, runway in use 12, expect VOR approach, surface wind 110, 11 knots, visibility 5 kilometers, showers of rain, cloud overcast 700 feet, overcast 4,000 feet, temperature 31.
Alright, so you hear the ATIS like me. We have the VOR, we have showers of rain, visibility around 5 kilometers. So yeah, doesn't look, it looks like an interesting scenario, and this is why we are doing it today. And here, if we look at the arrival, now we are going to Alpha November uniform, and this is our clearance limit. ATC didn't tell us anything about that, so then probably we are going to get something in the area of PPR. So I'm going to update now my FMC. Oh, Nazi, thank you so much. I just saw. I'm sorry if I take some time to read your message, guys. That's so kind of you. Thank you very much, Nazi. Okay, here we go. We are going to program the FMC for the VOR.
Air Transat 894, descend, flight level 130, and rate of descent 1,500 feet per minute.
Roger, descent 130, and rate 1,500 feet per minute, Air Transat 894. So 130 set, vertical speed, 1,500 feet per minute, he wants, and we are going to put the seatbelt sign for the passenger when we start descent. And here we need to set the arrival. So let's have a quick look at the chart here. Okay, so we are on the arrival and we want to do the approach VOR 12, and here we have two possible transitions. You can see that we are category C aircraft, so we need to go outbound on 319 from Pointe-à-Pitre and not 311, so don't do the mistake here. So we are going to select that, so I go to departure arrival and we are going for VOR DME, and we have two transitions. So if we select, let's say, transition 2, go to next page and then look for PPR, and then we can see 311 track. 311, that's for category A and B, that's not what we want. So erase and try again. So we want VOR DME, let's see that one before I execute. Now I have 319 for 7 DME. 319, 7 DME, that's perfect, that's the one. So I can execute it. And now what I will do, I will just put this PPR right there. So I leave that line discontinuity, so the aircraft will not fly direct to PPR. We are not cleared. So I am not legally able. I could do, but I have to make sure I call ATC before reaching there. Otherwise, we're going to go in trouble. All right, we have started our descent. Let's do the briefing because it's going to go fast now. So we are going for the VOR 12.
Now Transat 894, you can fly now direct to Pointe-à-Pitre VOR. This is Papa Romeo.
Roger, direct to Pointe-à-Pitre VOR, Air Transat 894. So Papa Romeo on top, confirm, execute, and now we go LNAV. Perfect. The aircraft is turning. I can synchronize the heading, always synchronize the heading, and here we go. Now let's do this briefing for this approach. So we are coming from the north here. MSA is 3600, 2000 feet in the missed approach. Then the VOR frequency is 112.9. So 112.9, we are going to set it active on both sides. 112.9. Then we continue here with the this strip. Final course 118. So 118, 118. Then what do we have next? We're gonna have 6 miles. We should be 2,000 feet. The minimum is 390 feet. We can see it here as well, 390 feet. So let's put the minimum here. So barrow minimum 390. 390, and then we have the airport elevation 35 feet. This is to check with the pressurization that we have the correct landing altitude. Then what we do over at Pointe-à-Pitre, we should be at 3,600 feet. We go outbound on 319 radial to 7 miles, maximum speed 185. Then we turn inbound 2,400 feet. We will set and we will start the descent at 7 DME. The rate of descent 3.2 degrees, so we're expecting around 800 feet per minute, down to the minimum. Should we go around, climb outbound on PPR VOR radial 116, so almost straight ahead to 5 miles, and then we do a left turn, climbing 3,600, and we join here the holding pattern. It's gonna be a direct entry, and we join the hold. Easy. So briefing is done. We are gonna go auto brake 2, and we are going to set our approach speed. And now we can check quickly the performance to make sure we are good to land here. So performance, we are going landing en route. Dispatch is before you take off. En route is once you're airborne. Here we need a tolerance. There is a special tolerance, here not. So always use en route when you check en route. And we are checking here the runway 12. The runway might be wet, so I will go wet. Aircraft weight, let's see. I have to check the weight here. We are gonna be 62 tons. I'm sorry guys, if I go too fast, let me know. I'll try to slow down. Landing flaps 30, packs on, anti-ice will be off. No credit for the reversers, we will check like that. I set auto brake 2, so we are going to check if auto brake 2 is good enough for us. And non-normal condition, we don't have anything. So auto brake 2. The wind per the ATIS is 110 at 11. Temperature 31.
Air Transat 894, normal rate restriction, contact raised approach, frequency 121.3. You have a safe landing.
Okay, a normal rate and 1213 with the approach. Thank you, Air Transat 894. Okay, so the approach 1213, perfect. We have information Foxtrot. Le Réseau approach, good morning. Air Transat 894, flight level 150 descending 130 inbound Papa Romeo, information Foxtrot.
Air Transat 894 approche, bonjour, continue descend 9,000 feet, QNH 1024 and prepare VOR runway 12.
Roger, descend 9,000 feet on 1024 and we prepare VOR 12, Air Transat 894. Alright, 9,000 feet, and now he said 1024, so what is good to do, pre-select 1024 here on your PFD, and then whenever you press standard here, you will have the correct QNH. So that's a good thing to do. So here, performance-wise, we saw that VRF 149, we have landing distance available 10,700 feet, we need 7.6, so that's good, we can go ahead with that, perfect. So everything is set. Now we are waiting for the transition level this time, which was reported 100. So for you, said you find this here, descent, forecast, and this is where you tell the 737 at which level it should warn you to set your correct altimeter setting. So this is correct, and we will see what happens if I forget to do it. All right, let's do the descent checklist, please. Descent checklist, pressurization, landing altitude is set. We have 0. Recall, checked. auto brake is 2. Landing data, we have VREF 145 and the minimum is 390. Approach briefing completed. Descent checklist is complete. Okay, will be great to have a future live stream using the Phoenix A320. Yes, we can do that as well. Maybe the same scenario, something else I'll do on the Phoenix A320. How do you know all this thing on the 737? Well, because I'm a type rating instructor on the 737. So it helps a little bit. And I like this aircraft, so it's really a beautiful and reliable aircraft. Okay, let's go level change now. We want to catch up a little bit the descent. If we look at our track miles, 30 track miles to go here. Then we need 7 miles outbound, 7 miles inbound. So let's put it 15. So that's 45 track miles to landing. If we multiply that by 3, we can see that we are correct. 45 times 3, around 130. I'm even low. So that's good. Now remember that we have ATC speed restrictions when we come to 10,000 feet. The speed should be 250 knots or less. So several methods to do that. Either you change now your speed here, or if I press VNAV, then the aircraft will do it for me. Because she's very kind, and she will now bring the nose up and reduce the speed toward 240 knots before she starts pulling down again. So now we can help her a little bit with some speed brake. So we don't like to use speed brake because it makes a lot of noise for the passengers, vibration, and it's there to be used. So even Boeing tells you use the speed brake, but some pilots, they don't like it. They say, well, this is if you don't know how to fly and how to manage your descent, then you're gonna have to use the speed brake. Well, if you fly an heavy aircraft, you have no choice. You need to use the speed brake. So yeah, don't worry about the speed brake. It's there to be used. Approaching 10,000 feet, we switch the lights on, so the fixed light on. We checked that the pressurization is okay, and we make sure we have the final nav setting. That's what we do at 10,000 feet. Okay, so this is gonna be an interesting approach. The weather, we don't know yet how it's gonna be.
Air Transat 8904, descend 6,000 feet.
Descend 6,000 feet, Air Transat 894. 6,000, you see I forgot now the transition, and we are passing 10,000. I get a standard in amber telling me, oh, JP, you forgot something here. And now I can just press standard. And as I pre-selected 1024, 1024 is there. And then it's easy to just do the approach check when we have the correct altimeter setting. Approach checklist, altimeter, 1024, set 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, and I'm reading 93 now. And it's compared by the first officer. Approach checklist is complete. Okay, track miles, 18 plus 15, 33 times 3, 9,000, perfect. Now you have to manage as well your speed. So anytime below 10,000, try to be 240 knots. That's a restriction. And then the 737, if you do non-precision approach, you should be fully configured when you start the final descent. So if we go into that chart here for the approach today, whenever we end up here in the final descent, we should be geared down flaps 30. So we have a stable descent with the correct speed. The speed is not changing anymore. So we do that, and we are going to cross-check all the steps here. You see the steps? From 6 miles, 5 miles, 4 miles, 3 miles, 2 miles, we are going to check those steps to make sure we are correct. And on the last part of that stream, I will show you that even though you check that, you can be in big trouble. Okay, so we are approaching 6,000 feet. We are 13 miles.
Air Transat 8904, turn left heading 130 and descend 5,000 feet.
Okay, left heading 130 and descend 5,000 feet, Air Transat 8904. Okay, heading 130, so it's kind of vectors. Okay, so I don't know what I will get, so I will just leave the FMC like that. And we are just continuing the descent. We know that at some point we're gonna have to turn right toward Papa Romeo to start the approach. So let's have a quick look outside here. So in the Caribbean, when we have this kind of weather, it's really like this. It's heavy rain and it might be very, very bad. Most of the time it's nice, but If it's not your day, it's not your day. Alright, so 6,000 feet, 1,000 feet to level off. So what's the best way when I have a stable approach and want to fly manual the approach, switch the autopilot off and autothrottle off? Okay, so on the 737, when you switch the autopilot off, you must switch the autothrottle off. This is what the FCOM says. So if you go manual thrust, manual flying. And what you should do if you're flying a VR approach like today is to reset your flight directors. So once you take it manually and you're flying on the PAPI,
Air Transat 894, descend 3,600 feet and turn right direct Papa Romeo.
Roger, descend 3,600 feet and right turn to Papa Romeo, Air Transat 894. 3,600 feet, so let me go speed intervene. We are going to reduce the speed to 220 and we can go direct to Papa Romeo. So I'll put it on top, that's what I want. Execute and make sure you press LNAV. Now the aircraft is turning right. Yes, so what we should do is reset the flight director. Why? Because then the flight director will not appear, but if you go around, you're going to have the flight director for the go around. In the initial part of the go around, even if your flight directors are off, the bars will show up, but as soon as you go heading LNAV, that's it, you lose the flight director. So this is why we like to reset the flight director. Here, I'm going to be too busy to do it, I guess, but this is what we should do. Ask your colleague to reset the flight director. Okay, 220 knots, 3,600 feet, how are we doing? So if we look here, we should be overhead at 3,600 or above, so that looks good. The aircraft tells me that I need to decel at this position because of the restriction of 185 knots. So soon we are going to use our first flaps. Perfect, so here we are good, and what I will put here as a cross check, I will put 319. Remember, we have to fly radial 319 outbound for 7 miles. This is what we can see right there. So we are going to use that as well as a backup.
Air Transat 894, clear of UR, runway 12, speed 180 knots or less.
Roger, clear of UR, runway 12, speed 180 or less. Air Transat 894. Okay, 180 or less, we are clear for the approach, so speed check, flaps 1. Very nice. Flaps are moving to 1, and this is the trailing edge. You can see trailing edge coming to 1, and the leading edge are still moving. And now flaps 1 set, but we call flaps 1 set whenever we see the green light here. Okay, now flaps 1 set. He wants 180 knots, so now I can reduce to 180 to the bug 1. And if I give the speed control to the airplane, then she will go to bug 1. If I request flaps 5 now, she will go to the bug 5. You will see the flaps moving to 5, and then she will go flaps 5. Automatically the bug is moving. You can see that now. Now I need to give lower altitude to the aircraft. So we have 2,400 feet. This is what we can see right there, this 2,350. We make sure we are in VNAV path, and the aircraft will start descent whenever she thinks she has to descend. She wants to do a constant descent. So basically, once she starts the descent from 3,600, she will do a constant descent to the runway. So that's very nice. So we can rely on the Boeing, what she's doing. You can see this is my descent profile. I'm 600 feet too high, too low, sorry, as per the profile that she wants to compute. And once that profile comes here in the middle, she will start a constant descent all the way to the runway. So this is what we want to see. So normally, if I didn't screw up, she will start descent as soon as that vertical profile comes here. Here she comes, you can see the profile, and the weather is not that good. Now it's kind of rainy. I would already put the engine starts to continuous just to make sure we don't have a flame out. And we are coming to the top of descent. Here it comes. And now we're expecting the aircraft to start descent. So if you look at vertical speed, she starts descent. We are good with the restriction here on the altitude, so I can go with my minimum now, 400 feet. Don't forget to set your minimum, otherwise she will go in VNAV alt and she will not descend. And now we are turning here on to the final. By the way, my radial was perfect, as you can see. So now what I need to do, set the correct radial, 118. This is not required, but it's always nice to have it as a backup in case you lose your FMC. So I have the correct radial. All right, let's go gear down, flaps 15. When we go gear down flaps 15, we put the lights on, we put the speed brake arm. Here we go. And we are turning inbound. We don't forget the heading bud. I will set it already to 118.
Air Transat 894, over to the tower now, frequency 118.4. Bye-bye.
Tower 1184, Transat 894, bye-bye, thank you. Okay, tower 1184. Here we go. And now I'm turning final. Before that point, I should be fully configured, so flaps 30. Tower hello, Air Transat 894, established on the VOR 12.
Air Transat 894, tower, very good morning. Wind 100 at 10 knots, runway 12, clear to land.
Clear to land 12, Air Transat 894. Alright, I put the taxi light on. This is my reminder for the landing clearance. And now what we are going to do, we are going to check all the minimum that you have now on your screen. So basically now the distance is on the VOR, so you can see the distance right there. Now MSFS has changed the frequency. I don't know why. The aircraft will not do it. So maybe you know why. So we are checking here 6 miles. 6 miles, you can see on your chart, we should be at 2,000 feet. So you can see that 6 miles. Ping 2,000, we are correct. Then we're gonna check the next one, which is 5 miles. We should be 1660. And in the meantime, we're going to do the landing checklist. Landing checklist, engine start switches, they are continuous. Speed brake is arm, landing gear is down, and the flaps, they are 30 green light. All right, let's continue here. 5 miles, we should be 1660. Very good. She's flying very nicely. Next, 4 miles, 1320. So we are checking 4 miles, 1320. Now I'm gonna set my missed approach altitude, which is 3600. And we are checking 4 miles, 1320. 4 miles, 1320. Perfect. Next, 3 miles, 980. So 3 miles, 980. And I don't see anything in front, so yeah, in case of go around, radial 116 right ahead, we can use LNAV, and then we go back over red and we do an ILS approach. 1000 stabilize, 3 miles right there, 980. So the next step will be 2 miles, 650 feet, and now I need to start looking outside. Guys, let me know if you see something. We should see the runway at minimum. The minimum is 390. So at 2 miles, our last step is 650, and then hopefully we can see something. So this is the scenario: you can land or you might have to go around. This is both cases. You have to be ready for anything. I have the runway in sight.
Approaching minimums.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
400.
Minimum. Disconnect. See the runway? Wow. So that today I was lucky on that stream, guys. Whoa, that was very short, very close to a go around here.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Speed brake up. Reversers normal. Auto brake disarm. And we go out of reverse. 60 knots.
Air Transat 8904, vacate left and taxi stand 8. So wish you a nice layover.
Thank you. Vacate left, stand 8 for Air Transat 8904. All right, 8, vacate left, stand 8. Okay, good. All right, so you saw the approach here, really close to the minimum. By the way, we're gonna have an automatic announcement that I've done. This is at the end of every scenario, so I'm sorry, it's gonna run in around 1 minute. So what I wanted to tell you, in this kind of weather, don't try to float, don't try to go for a kiss landing. Just bring the aircraft down, because the runway is wet, you might lose visibility. So bring her down and don't worry about the landing, about the rate of land. This is not, we are not playing here. So just land the aircraft and bring her to 60 knots, and now you're safe. All right, here we are. So here I will try to use FSiPanel to do the after landing for me. So what I have to do is use the F6 key. So if you use the mode, just press F6 to retract 1 notch of flaps. And then FSiPanel should do everything. You see that the auto brake has been turned off, the lights are turned off, the APU will be started, so I can just concentrate now on my taxi. So we're gonna have to go to stand 8.
Hi guys, JB, welcome to Guadeloupe, Le Rézé Airport. I hope you enjoyed this very short flight operated by Air Transat due to a diversion, sorry. And any question or comments, feel free to join us on the Discord channel and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well for all the latest news. See you very soon for another scenario. Bye bye.
All right, that was the automatic announcement I was referring. And let's see if GS6 can give us the gates. 8. No. And that's it. Okay. Perfect. So we are all good. The APU is on the way. I will turn the terrain off. And now we go to stand 8. All right. So that was the approach VOR12 flying it as you saw with the full automation. Easy. Just monitoring basically the course here on the radial, but the FMC was able to do the descent planning, was able to basically bring the aircraft greatly on the final. Now, if you are still awake and you want to see that, we can try to do the same approach, positioning the aircraft. Did I miss the stand? Did I just miss the stand 8? 9, 7. Okay, all right, just 1 second. Where is the stand 8? Airport. I think I might have done a mistake here. Arrival, pinned, airport. Now this is the TNCM, sorry. Arrival TFFR, airport, and we want 10.9. Here we go. And we are stand 7, 8, 9. 7 is there, 9. Okay. Well, I guess it's here, but something is wrong on the chart here. Okay, let's continue the taxi. And that's it. We park the aircraft and then we talk about the second part. If you want to see it, just let me know if that's something you want to see, or if you want to see something else. I'm open to anything. My idea was to show you the same approach, but we are going to have FMC failure on both FMC. So we have to set the speed by ourselves. We have to navigate with the VOR radials. It's much more complicated, much more demanding, but this is IFR skills. So we should be able to do it. And it makes a little bit... it's a little bit more interesting in terms of flight training. So if you want to see it, we can go ahead and try that. Okay, stand 8, taxi light off, please. And let's see if we can park that aircraft correctly here now. Wow. Well, doesn't look too good here. 5. Oh. Still moving a little bit. Yeah, no, I just want to make 0, 0. There we go. Brake set. Now we put the APU on the bus. Once the APU is on the bus, we can shut down the engines. Once we see that the engine are shut down, we start with the beacon light off, then seatbelt sign for the cabin crew to start working. And now in the overhead panel, we will turn the fuel pumps off, except one if required by the APU. We make sure the seatbelt sign is off. Then we can depressurize the electrical hydraulic. Finally, you have to give some air to the passenger. So make sure you open the isolation valve on ground. If you don't, let's see what happens. Now the APU bleed is coming there. It's coming to the left back, which is for the cockpit. And then here, the isolation valve is closed. And as you can see, the right back, nothing. So the passengers will complain very soon. If you open it, they get some air. And now everybody is happy. Next step, we turn off the flight director. And finally, we turn off the transponder. And now that's the end. We can call for the shutdown checklist. I don't know if I have it ready for you guys here. Yeah, it is. So fuel pump off except one. Then we have the probit off or auto. That aircraft is off. Hydraulic panel is set. Then we have the flaps up. Thank you, FSiPanel, for that. And then parking brake for the time being is set. And then we have the engine start lever to cut off. And the weather radar is off. That's it. Welcome to Guadeloupe. Finally, the passengers will enjoy their vacation. And let me just check what you put in the comments. Okay, very nice. My question. You answered already my question regarding a firm landing. Yeah, so, you know, a good landing, passengers will always grade your landing on what they feel. But they don't see what's in front. You know, so short runway, wet runway, or contaminated runway. Passengers, they don't care about that. They just want to feel the nice landing. And sometimes you have a hard landing and you say, well, like the captain doesn't know how to fly. And in fact, it was probably the best landing he could do for the conditions. So it's unfair to grade a landing like that. Of course, if you train with nice weather and you want to go for a nice landing, of course, but sometimes the conditions are just not made for a kiss landing. What's your Discord server? Yeah, you can find that in the YouTube channel. In my YouTube channel under info, you will get the link. Thank you, well done, great job, thanks guys. The first time you set a manual intercept after takeoff, you did not hit execute. I think you did on the second intercept. What is the difference? So if I didn't execute, then it's a mistake. Clearly a mistake. But the aircraft turned, so I will have to look at it, but you have to execute, of course. Une autre approche, oui, volontiers, Daniel. Yes, I like Oriel. We'll do the scenario. Yeah. Perfect. So what we will do, guys, I will just reset everything. So I will put the pause mode that I tried to make on my stream. Let's see if it works. It will take like 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes maximum. And when we are ready, then we are going to position the aircraft somewhere in the air just before Pointe-à-Pitre VOR. And we are going to fail the 2 FMCs. We are going to use the QRH checklist. And we are going to fly the same approach, but this time completely manual. So you saw the weather was already crap. So it's a big challenge, but let's give it a shot together. All right, so let's see you in 2 or 3 minutes. All right, I'm back with you. I hope you still hear me. Let me know if you don't hear me. What I did, I just basically restarted. I went to the main menu and I restarted the sim. Not the sim, just restarted the flight, and I put the aircraft on runway 10, same weather, and as you can see, the cockpit is not set at all. So we are going to use FSiPanel to position us. So do you hear me, guys? Before I go ahead and talk for half an hour and then I realize maybe my mic was mute or something is not working as expected. Here we go here. I just want to check that as well, yeah. All right, good. So, perfect. Let's do, again, electronic flight bag. I'm just going to take the approach chart. So, very quickly here, we are in the arrival, and we want to do the VOR runway 12. That's the one. Okay, so we have the chart, and what we will do, we position the aircraft. What do you think? Should we go southwest here? We will put the aircraft over there somewhere. Then we fly to Pointe-à-Pitre. We will fail the 2 FMCs. We will do the checklist, the QRH, like pretending this happens once we were in descent. Once we are ready, everything is fixed, not fixed, but under control. We fly with conventional setting, direct Pointe-à-Pitre, and we do the approach. So we probably have to do one hold, and then we fly the approach and see if we manage to land, okay? So let's do that using FSiPanel. So I will start FSiPanel to program that. So here we go. We are in the Rese runway 12, that's correct. So what we will do here, we are going to select a fix and we are going to do a pilot waypoint, new pilot waypoint. And to do a pilot waypoint, you need a reference. So here what I will use is this thing here. Let me show you that. We are going to use Papa Romeo. That will be my reference. And I will put myself on the radial. I want to fly inbound on 045, that will be the radial 225, right? So I'll put the radial 225 and we put ourselves, let's say, 7 miles. So let's do that. And the altitude we can set 4,000 feet, as we should be 3,600 feet. So let's do that this way. Okay, so we said Navade, it's a VOR, it's Papa Romeo. That's Pointe-à-Pitre, select. Now I have Pointe-à-Pitre as a reference. The radial, we said radial 225. So I will set 225 and we said around 7 miles. Now don't forget to press compute coordinates. So basically now these are the coordinates of your aircraft if you're on the radial 225 southwest of Papa Romeo. And now the aircraft FSiPanel needs to know what heading you want and what altitude you want. So we want 4,000 feet. My heading, I would like to be the opposite of the radial, so I want to fly inbound on the 045. The profile, we can keep it clean. So here you could choose vector or final, but I hardly recommend you to go clean. Waypoint, we can put, for example, PPR 225 7. So that's 7 miles final. And here we can put to train VOR 12. Right. Save the waypoint. And I will basically as well export that waypoint and I will share it with you. I will do that later on. So I will share that waypoint on my Discord channel. If you want to use it to practice exactly what we are doing now on the 737-800, just go ahead, drag and drop the file over FSiPanel main window and you can use that waypoint. All right, validate. So the aircraft, he knows what we want to do. And now I will just set my training weight. So if I click move aircraft, I'm probably overweight. Yes, I'm overweight. So I'm going to set the weight. So we want to be at, let's say, 60 tons. We are going to make it easy and you will understand why. Let's put 56 tons zero fuel weight. So this is always something that you should remember. Your zero fuel weight. So we have a load sheet for that. So it's important to remember the zero fuel weight. And we're going to have 4 tons of fuel. So our aircraft will be 60 tons. Very important to remember that. And now we can go ahead and fly. So I will make sure that my brake is released. Otherwise, I'm gonna get in trouble and the aircraft will be released automatically. Alright, so now FSiPanel is doing the job. So we'll wait until it tells us that everything is ready, and then we will keep the aircraft in position freeze to set up the approach and everything. And then we are going to program the failure with FSiPanel, and we are going to check together the QRH, so the malfunction checklist if you prefer, and I will explain you what we have to do in that situation. So right now we are reaching 4,000 feet and we are 7 miles from Papa Romeo. So if I put the VOR here, 112.9, I should see 7. That's exactly what we wanted. And 045 heading, that's the track. So we are all good. FSiPanel did the job properly. Now it will tell us that everything is ready. Hold your brake to take control. Perfect. So we are going now to prepare everything. So as you see, we are 7 miles. So I will just update the FMC just for the even though we are not going to use it, let's do it quickly like this, and we go direct to Papa Romeo, execute. And why I'm doing this is because I will tell you what happened when we fail the FMC. So if you have any question, we are in position freeze, so don't hesitate to ask. I will look at the question every 10-15 seconds and I can answer your questions. So here we are going direct there. We will be at 4,000 feet. We have already, everything is done, and we have the nav setting 112.9, 112.9. We will set 118, for the VOR. In fact, that will be 319 to monitor the outbound course, if you remember. That's what we do. And what else? So the minimum. So the minimum was 390. Minimum, let's put 390. 390. Perfect. Here we go. Everything is set. So basically now we could start flying. So let's see if I am LNAV. What's happening there? We have LNAV captured and the aircraft stay straight. That's perfect for us. Alright, so what we are going to do, I will increase the speed here to 230 knots. This is for FSiPanel setup, so we can stay in the cockpit even though we will program some failures. And now we are going in FSiPanel and we will program the failures. Is it mandatory to set both VOR? It's a good practice. If you fly with the FMC, you could fly without any VOR setting. You don't even need to set anything in the box here. She's flying by reference to the GPS and by the waypoint that she has here. So basically on this kind of aircraft you can fly without any VOR, but the practice wants you to set the correct radial because it's always a plan B. If something goes wrong, and you will see it now, then at least you can navigate. Okay, so always try to do that. Okay, so now let's go in FSiPanel and we are going to program the failure. So we go to failure and navigation in that case, and we are going to start with the left FMC, the captain FMC, as I'm pilot flying. And what we will do right now, my indicated airspeed is 230 knots. So what I will do is whenever I'm flying less than 220 knots, then I will fail the left FMC. So whenever the speed is less than 220 knots, the left FMC is gone. And we are going to put the right FMC at the speed of 210 knots. Minus 210. So that's trigger when the aircraft decelerate through 210 knots. So we have 2 failures, and the way I did it is that I don't have to go back in FSiPanel. Basically they are set. I reduce by 10 knots, I lose the first one. I reduce by another 10 knots, I lose the second one. So now we can go back into the simulator. And where is my simulator? Here. Okay. Here we are in the simulator. So let's see what happened now. I'm going to reduce the speed to 220 knots. So I'm pilot flying. You can see that I have LNAV. Everything looks good. And we are confident for this approach. And now I'm reducing the speed to, let's say, 218 knots. That should trigger the first failure as soon as the speed goes below 220 knots. So we do that and we will see what happens. So what do you expect? Anybody knows? If you can put in the comment, I will just keep the speed at 221 and tell me, guys, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the aircraft will do? What indication will we get? We will get, I said again, we will get the FMC left fail. Can we use the second FMC, the first officer side? Or is everything gone? So now it's failing because we touched 220. So this is what's happening. We have VTK, vertical track, and I am in LNAV. Look what happened now. The autopilot cannot fly anymore. So now we got no more lateral mode. So the first thing to do, heading. So we know that we are still under control. I have lost my map. I can see nothing in front of me. I don't know where we are. Where is my VOR? Nothing. My first officer, though, he got the whole picture. Now I cannot use the FMC. So basically you can see I'm stuck. Even though we don't understand what's happening. We have the map display is correct on the right side. The left map display is basically not working. So what to do? So we are going to bring the checklist. So here the captain pilot flying will call for QRH for FMC fail. And we are going to identify which FMC has failed. So let's bring the checklist. This is the QRH of the 737. So you see FMC fail, display of VTK, I have it right there, followed by map failure flag, we have it here, on one or both navigation display. And the objective of that checklist is to restore dual FMC operation, configure for single FMC operation, or resume conventional navigation. So now let's have a look. Not LNAV and VNAV may disengage. We saw that. My LNAV was gone. I reverted to heading. Then we have to check both navigation, that's the point 1. Check both navigation display, map mode, and FMC CDU. And we have to choose one. You can see on the point number 2. No FMC data on the captain and the first officer navigation display map mode, and no FMC data on both CDU. Is that the case? What do you think? Tell me, which one of these three options? The second option is no FMC data on the captain's navigation display map mode and no FMC data on both CDU. And finally, the last point is no FMC data on the first officer navigation display map mode. Message light is limited and single FMC operation scratchpad message is shown. So which one is correct, guys? Let me know. What do you think? Should we go for step 7, step 3? If you analyze the situation right now, I need your help. In the meantime, I'm having a coffee that my wife bring me. She's very kind. So what do you think we should do here? Daniel says to go to step 3, which is no FMC data on the captain's navigation display map mode and no FMC data on both CDU. Okay. Ryan, I would also say 3. Christian Weber say 3. Jeff say 3. Well, I can fly with you guys. Thank you very much. You're correct. So that's good. I'm very happy. A very good performance. Thank you guys. Exactly. So basically, we go to step 3. And now we have to be careful. FMC, source, select, switch, both on left or both on right. So do we go both on left or both on right now? I'll bring you the cockpit. This is the switches. So here is the switches. Those are the FMC switch. Do we go both on left or both on right? What do you think? I think I will go. What could be the answer there? Might be right, might be left. So here, this is why we always check that together, especially when you have guarded switch. Now this is not a guarded switch because even if you do the mistake, you can revert. So it's not critical. But we have both on right, we have both on left, both on right, but no ID. Okay. So now you're telling your computer, basically you're telling your FMC to use the source from the left or from the right. We said the captain FMC is failed. So I use the right side, both on right. If I go both on right, now the system will use all information coming from the right FMC, which is still valid. So that's what we do. And if we continue the checklist, at point number 4, we have to wait 1 minute. So to make sure that we restore the map mode here. So we can see already that I have again a map mode. Perfect. So I can navigate. And then we check the FMC left and FMC right bearing distance information on the position shift page 3. So here we go FMC. And here again I can use the FMC, position in it, page 3. And here you can see that the FMC left is missing. So it's clearly FMC left which is failed, and FMC right is still there with valid information. Good, so let's go for this rest of the checklist. So basically we have the bearing and distance. We said continue with single bearing distance information for only a single FMC is displayed. So continue with single FMC operation. End of the checklist. That's it. So now we only have one FMC, and basically I can fly LNAV, VNAV, and I can do the same approach as we did before without any trouble. So that's very nice. But now we're gonna get into trouble. So let's see what happens if I reduce the speed now to, let's say, 205 to up speed. So at 210 knots, I think we set, we should have the second FMC fail. So what we're expecting? Again, probably vertical track, because the first officer now will have the first indication VTK. That's always a good indication. And then the map will disappear a few seconds later. So this is something you want to see on the first officer. Look at VTK here. When it fails, boom, VTK, but the map will display here for another 10 seconds usually. And then we're going to have the map flag right there on both sides because the source is gone. I'm lucky, I'm flying heading, altitude all, so I only lose my navigation. So let's see what with a failed FMC other than auto land, are there other procedure I'll change? With a failed FMC other than auto land, are there other procedural change? Well, if you have lost 2 FMCs, yes, we have to. There is a lot of things that change. First of all, you don't have any speed here because the aircraft doesn't know the speed. So you can see where's my VRF speed. What is the up speed, the minimum speed I have to fly now? How about my auto throttle? I have auto throttle limit. She doesn't know what's the speed outside, what's the temperature outside. She cannot compute what is the maximum N1 she can give you in case of go around. So the auto throttle is working now in limited mode. So that's one thing to know. And we need to tell the system what is the weight, we need to tell the system what is the speed, and then we need to navigate conventionally. So the best approach we can do in that circumstances, as you said, it's an ILS approach. Very straightforward, arm approach, let it go down, and that's it. I will never try to do a VOR unless I'm short of fuel and I have to do it. Okay? So now we are just going to take a look at the checklist again here. So now we have the 2 FMC failed. So if we go here, both FMCs are failed, so we go to step 7, and the step 7 says resume conventional navigation without an operating FMC. LNAV and VNAV are not available, so we have to manage a descent by yourself. Verify position relative to terrain using conventional navigation. So now the only way we can know where we are, as we don't have any map, is with the radial and the distance. So this is where it becomes interesting. And the AGPWS may use incorrect position, so we have to be careful for that. Now you can see that part 9 that I put in green for you. When preparing for the approach, this is what we are doing now. We need to use the speed reference selector to set the current gross weight. Then we need to use the speed reference selector to set the reference airspeed bug. And finally, we need to use the N1 set selector to set the N1 bugs. So this is something we have to do, and we will do it right now before we start the approach. Okay, so if we go here, I'll try to make the best view for you. We have these switches, which we check in auto mode when we do the pre-flight checklist of the aircraft. And now we're gonna have to use those switches. So it says to set the weight. So this is the speed ref, and I'm going to turn the knobs here, this one, to weight, WT, weight. And if I go to my PFD, you can see the weight here. So now what we need to set here is the weight of the aircraft. So this is where we look at our load sheet, and we see the load sheet is 56 tons zero fuel weight, and I have about 4 tons, so I will put 60 tons here. So I'm turning that speed reference button here to put 60 tons. Once I have 60 tons, then I can go VREF. What happened when I did that? You see that the up bug came, because now the aircraft knows what is the weight and she can compute the speeds. But now she needs the VREF. So the VREF, we are going to go into our QRH, and this is where you're going to get that nice table that you can see right there, where you have to take the aircraft weight. So for us 60 today, we are 60 tons, we said, and we are going to do flaps 30 for landing. So 142. I circled 148 because I was expecting to be a little bit more heavier. So if you're heavier, if you are like say 61, 62, just go for 65 for the safe side. You will take the highest speed, not the lowest speed. And so if you have 62 tons right now, just go for 65. But we are 60 tons flat, so we can use 142. So now that we know the speed, I'm in the VRF. I'm gonna put 142, and you see the bug is moving. So I'm gonna put 142 for VRF. VRF is 142. Once this is done, we move the switch here to set. So we tell the system, this part is done. Next, N1 bug. We go to both because we want to set both N1 bug reference, not only one or number 2, both. So what we will do now again, we bring the QRH and we go to the N1 bug. And here again, what we need to find out is the airport outside temperature, which is around 31 degrees. So here I cycle 32 degrees, and the airport pressure altitude is around 0 at destination, and we end up with 99.9, which is the, based on engine bleed for packs on, engine and wing anti-ice off, go around, percent N1. This is what we have to set. So 99.9. So we are going to use this bug to go to 99.9. I don't know if you saw it, sorry guys, here 99.9. That's it. So now I have my bug. So in case of go around, I will go around toga flaps 15, and I will tell my first officer set go around thrust, and I am expecting my first officer to set 99.9 green bug and to tell me thrust set. Now we have the thrust set, we have a positive rate of climb, we can bring the gear up. Important to go like this. Alors, is a typical 737 pilot skilled enough to handle this kind of dual FMC approach in real time, or will they first go into some kind of hold? Well, it depends how far away it happens. If you're in descent and you can manage your descent in vertical speed, like we did, if that happened like 80 miles from Papa Romeo, we probably have time to do it. Like here we are 7 miles, it will be completely unsafe to start the approach, and once we are in the approach phase, having one guy trying to set everything while the other is flying the approach conventionally without any backup. So here my advice always to the trainee, make your aircraft flyable, make sure everything is set, it's under control, the checklist is complete, and then you can go for the approach, because then the hard work is done and you just have basically to fly the airplane. So I will not encourage anybody to just go ahead and fly this without correct preparation. Okay, so here what we've done, we have set everything. So we have set whatever the checklist asks us to do, and now we will try together to fly that approach. So I cannot fly it like this. So the first thing to do is to revert to VOR, and I like to go like this, because here I will get all kind of nice information. You can see my needle here, my RMI, telling me that PPR VOR is just in front of me. So if I fly straight, you see the green needle, I go to the VOR 7 miles. Then we need to think about the holding. So we are coming right there. So we need to enter the holding. So there is 3 ways to enter an holding. Maybe you know already. You can enter the holding direct entry. Let's say we are coming this way. So then I will just turn directly on 116 and I will turn like this. I can enter the holding in a parallel entry. I'm coming on the other side. So now I will go on that side of the holding to 1 minute, turn left, come back inbound, go back to the VOR, and now we start turning in the right direction. Or in our case, we are going to use the teardrop entry. So we are coming straight here, and we are going to take a 30 degrees intercept for 1 minute. So 116 minus 30, that's 086. So heading 086, 1 minute, right turn, intercept the radial inbound, and we are in the holding. Once we are ready for the approach, we leave the holding on 319 radial to 7 miles, and we can start our descent toward 2,400 feet. Then we will turn left to intercept the radial inbound, which is 118. And at 7 miles, we will select vertical speed. We cannot select any other mode. The only mode that we can descend now is level change, which we will never use in an approach, or vertical speed. So here we're going to use vertical speed. And now this is where it's important. If you check on your chart here, you have a 3.2 degrees descent. And we have the ground speed. So our aircraft, we said the VREF is 145 plus 5 knots, so that's going to be 150 knots. And we have the wind from the 110 at 10 knots. So let's say around 6-7 knots headwind. So my ground speed will be around between 140 and 150. So we will try with 800 feet per minute. So this is a good reference to have. So you know that 800 feet per minute should do the trick. And again, we are going to check all the steps and try to find a runway. So this is the way we are going to try now this approach. So bear in mind with me, once we start flying, it's going to go quick. We have to configure the aircraft. We have to navigate. First, we will join the holding. So 086 will be the heading to enter for 1 minute. So we have here on this chronograph is right there. Then we turn inbound, and so it's going to be quite interesting. So you're ready to fly? Should we give it a shot? So everything is set here. We have the auto brake. For some reason, this MSFS, maybe some of you know about this. Some reason, I find out that MSFS will change the frequency. Even in the assistance, I have everything off. The 112.9 might disappear at any time, so we have to be very careful today. Okay, so can you also use the ISFD? The ISFD can be used in approach mode only for the ILS. So that's it. It's a basic mode. You can use it for localizer approach or for ILS approach. Parachute, yeah, hopefully. In the worst case, we just go around. We know that the go around is a good thing as well to breathe, because now we cannot just press LNAV. If we go around, we have to fly the go around. So here, luckily for us, it's a very easy one. If you have a very tricky go around, ask ATC. Can we fly runway heading? Can we do something else? We are not here to play. So be careful if you have this kind of approach with a go around 2 miles, like in France, they love it. 2 miles, left turn, heading 360, intercept radial 255 to 6 miles DME arc, and then proceed on the radial 255 inbound A-track. Don't do that. This is the best way to screw it up. Ask ATC, can we go runway heading, and request vectors. Alright, so the go around here straight ahead, climb outbound on PPR 116, so I will just have to turn 2 dots to the left to have 116. Once we have 5 miles, we turn left, and we go direct again to the VOR, climbing to 3,600, and we join the hold. So should not be a problem for us. Let's give it a shot. So I will take the control, so I will hold my brake for 3 seconds, and FSiPanel will give me the control, and off we go. So we are in heading mode. First thing we want to do, enter the hold and descend 3,600 feet. So you see the distance here, reducing as expected. Now the needles, we expect the needle to drop. When the needle drop, it means we are getting close to the VOR. This is where we will take the heading 086, which is again the 30 degrees intercept here. So let me remove the aircraft here, so we don't cheat on this one. We want to make it all together. If you see any mistake, shout in the chat. You're my first officer on that approach. So we need to make it safe altogether. So this is single man operation, but I have all of you with me. Okay, so when we are at around, let's say, 2 miles from the VOR at this altitude, this is where you have to be ready to turn, okay? Because then suddenly the needle will drop left or right, and do not chase the needle, because the needle will start dropping, and now you will see people, they will turn to follow the needle to fly to the VOR, and they will just circle around the VOR. So don't do the mistake. Just fly straight, wait for the needle to drop. Okay, so now we are coming around 2 miles. So you see the needle will start moving. I'm expecting to drop. Remember that the tip of the needle, will always drop. It will never go on that side. If you're on the right side of the circle, she will always drop. Okay, now it's dropping, so we can turn right, heading 086. So turn first and start the time. Now we want 1 minute. Once we establish on the on the heading, we time 1 minute. So here we are. Now we are coming in a teardrop entry. So I'm on the 086 time. Now what I need to do is set the inbound course on my course nav 1. So the inbound course is 296. This is the one we want to intercept. So I need to set 296. And we are waiting now for 1 minute. What would you do in real life? Fly heading as long as you need to prepare the aircraft. Yeah, in real life, you will ask ATC for maximum service. So if they can provide you vectors to visual approach, sometimes they can clear the cloud and then you just fly visual. You will do that. Otherwise, request vectors to final once you are ready, and then just fly the final part of this approach. So that's what I will do in real life. But some airports, they don't have radar service, so then you have to fly it either conventional like we are doing now, or you divert to a place where you have an ILS, depending on the situation and the weather. Here we are for training, so we just play around with the aircraft. Okay, let's descend to 3,600 feet. This is where we start our approach. And 1 minute is there. I will cancel the timing and we turn right. So now we turn right 296. We want to take that radial inbound. So 296. And we monitor here what the aircraft is doing. So we're expecting this needle to be aligned with my radial 296, and then we will monitor when we go overhead. And we are descending 3,600 feet. So this is the initial altitude. You can see that on the chart right there. So 3,600 over the VOR if we want to start the approach. So do you want me to do one more turn in the hold, or are you happy to start the approach, guy? What do you think? It's up to you. We are turning nicely. You can see the needle. So we expect the needle to match here the course, and then you will see the course coming in. Wind correction, yes. If you see that you are drifting now, inbound is very easy because we have the radial. So basically we navigate with the radial. As you can see here, I should stay a little bit more to the left to make sure I go to the right position. So the idea is to center the radial and then have a wind correction if required. So fly the approach, perfect. Okay, we're gonna fly the approach then. So then once we go station passage here, what do we do? Tell me, what should I do? I'm on the radial now, I'm coming inbound, 3 miles to go. So you always have to think ahead of the game here. The aircraft goes very fast and she will not wait for you. So if we look here, overhead, 319. 319 for 7 miles and we descend 2,400. So I would set 2,400. Okay, now my radial is good. And what I will do, reduce the speed, flaps 1. Bug 1. We are waiting for the station passage. Very soon you will see the needle dropping. Flaps 5. And I will take speed 180. We are waiting for the station passage. Very soon that will happen. Look at the needle. She's dropping. Perfect. So I can turn 319. I would set 319. 319, 319. So now we want to intercept that radial. Here, do not chase for the radial, because we are still overhead. So the radial, as you can see, will start moving. And now we can correct and we can start to descend to 2,400 feet. So let's descend. And we correct our track as required. So we need to be centered. So I need to chase a little bit to the right here to center the needle, especially I have the wind here pushing me a little bit. And now we are monitoring for 7 miles. Can you also activate the FPV mode? Yes, you can. So that's good on final if you fly manually for 3 degrees or raw data approach. Here I can arm VOR lock, and now you will see the aircraft should capture VOR lock and should fly outbound, and then I don't have to worry about the wind correction anymore. But the PMDG sometimes is struggling a little bit. So let's see how she's doing it. Not too bad. So 7 miles, we should be 2,400 feet. Okay, here. Then we turn inbound, we intercept 118, and at 7 miles we will start the descent. We said with 800 feet per minute. All right, so that's gonna be now the interesting part. So 7 miles, don't go too far, there is terrain. So 7 miles, we will turn left. So now as I'm in VOR lock, I can already prepare my heading. So I can turn the heading to around 180 initially. Radio altimeter is alive, that's checked. And now we are monitoring the 7 miles. (6.2, 6.3). And at 7 miles, we turn left. Here we go. 7 miles. Heading. Aircraft is turning left. Perfect. I will set my course now. Final approach course. 118. That's the one I want to intercept for the approach. Now we will go gear down. Flaps 15. We'll reduce the speed to Bug 15. We'll set the items. Speed brake. Continue the turn. This is where you have to be on the spot. You see we are almost on the radial. You can see that this needle is almost matching with my course, so I just follow. And at 7 miles I will need to start the descent. So now you can see the needle is coming in, the course is coming in, that's perfect. So we're expecting 118. So you configure as early as you can on this kind of approach, because you want to have everything ready as soon as possible. So I think we are lucky with the weather, guys. It improved. It was bad in downwind. We might be good here. 7 miles, and we need to be within 1 dot to be legally able to start the descent. So we are within 1 dot, 7 miles. Now I need to put my minimum vertical speed, and we go down. Oula. What happened here? Okay. Brace for impact. Okay, now I need to compensate a little bit as I made a mistake with my mouse. And we are coming inbound establish. So what you can do as well here is arm the VOR lock if you want. Let's go flaps 30 and set the approach, which is 150. Within 1 dot, I will arm VOR lock, and we will turn 118. Here we go. VOR lock is captured, so now the aircraft will fly the approach, and we are going to check all the steps. So 5 miles, 1660. So let's see, 5 miles, correct. So now I can reduce my rate of descent because we are back on profile. We check the next one, 4 miles, 1320. So 4 miles, 1320. Set missed approach altitude, 3,600 feet, and we monitor 4 miles. We said 1320. We are going to be slightly low, so let's reduce a little bit the rate of descent. 4 miles, not too bad. I think we can go back now to 800 feet per minute. 3 miles, we should be at 980. Landing checklist, engine start switch is continuous, speed brake is on, landing gear is done, flap study green light. 3 miles, 980. Well, it looks good. 3 miles, we are perfectly on profile. I have the runway in sight, so now I take it manually, autopilot off, auto throttle off, and this is where you can reset your flight director. So you reset the flight director, you go back like this, and now everything is set. Now we can use, as you said before, the FPV, so we can have a 3 degrees descent. When the tip of my aircraft here is on the horizon, it's a 3 degrees descent. You can see that she's flying perfectly well on the profile because I'm flying the 3 degrees. All right, so we are all set, going for the runway. 145 is my VRF, 2 and 2, and we are going down. So here I will set already 160, 116 in case I have to go around.
300. 200.
3 red, correcting. And we are on profile on the runway. 2 and 2.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And speed brake up. Reverses normal. And welcome to Guadeloupe again. So that's it. I'm sorry, I forgot to remove the speed indication, the altitude versus distance. And here we are. We made it. We are just going to stop here on the runway. And I will set the parking brake. And that's it. So what did you think about this approach? It's a little bit more complicated. I like to train that sometimes with the pilots, and believe me, it's not easy because we are used to fly 99.9% of the time with the MCDU or FMC on the 737. And once we got to that level, then we still have to think like 20 years ago when we were doing our training about radials, turning, timing, and it becomes interesting, but you have to be on the spot and you have to be a nice colleague on the right or left side to make sure you bring it safe. So yeah, we made it. Thank you guys. And depending if you still want to do something, I can show you one last exercise that will take us like 10 minutes. I can show you exactly what I show to my trainee, how to screw up a beautiful approach in one step, and how you can really kill everybody even though the aircraft tells you that everything is perfect. So do you want to see that, or you want to close the stream? Just let me know what you want to see. In the meantime, I'm gonna clean the airplane, so we are going to bring FSiPanel, and I'm going to clear all the failures. It's already done because we were on ground. Perfect. Of course, perfect. So let's do it. So let me explain what I will do. And well, what I will do it for you. And what you will do is tell me on the chat if you see what's happening. So let's do something here. Here, full screen. And what should I do? Here the simulator. All right. So normally we should have everything back to normal. So when we do that in the simulator as well, it's very interesting because usually you start flying and you find out that the switch are not in the right position. As well here, we put both FMC. So this is as well something to remember. And that's it. Okay. So we are here. So what we will do, we will play a little bit with the weather. And we are going to do this time a VOR approach, the same as we did before, with the FMC, everything working, and or you want to fly air nav approach, let me know what you want. We can fly, either we fly this VOR 1-2 that we did already 3 times, or we can go for the RNP approach. And in both way, you will see how easy you can screw it up. So let me know what you prefer, if you want air nav or if you want VOR. So I just need to play a little bit with the weather here. So we are going to put low level and we are going to change here. This is good. Okay. So we have RNP, perfect. RNP. So RNP it will be. Perfect. So let's see. We are just letting FSiPanel do the job here. I will do nothing. I think everything is fine. One more thing, if you fly 737 with FSiPanel, I will add it in the next version to make sure you release the parking brake when you click move aircraft. Otherwise, you will straight ahead go get the control, and that's not good. I mean, you have to start flying right away. So just remember. Okay, so let's program this approach and let's see. So you said RNP. So RNP is a 12 miles final. So we are going to put ourselves at 14 miles final, 14 miles at 3,600 feet. And that should do. 14 miles, 3,600. So let's bring FSiPanel. And we are going select fix. We are going X nautical miles. We said 14 miles, not 15. I said 14, that's good enough. And we want 3,600 feet. Oh, she wants 4,000. Okay, no problem. We will do. Let's keep 4,500. It's even better for the exercise. And move aircraft. Let's go back in the sim. Okay, so release the parking brake. I say it, but I don't do it. Perfect. And oh, I'm in a full configuration. My mistake. Okay, no problem. It's good, but because we need to start the approach fully configured on this kind of approach, so we will leave it. That's perfect. Once you fly, if you fly RNP approach on the 737 as well, as soon as you go into the final fix, you need to be fully configured. So here will be 14 miles, so we should be somewhere around here. So make sure you are fully configured, and from Fox Romeo 12 Zulu we will start the descent 3.2 degrees. So if we brief it quickly, same MSA as before, the course is 116, we are coming at 3,600, and at Fox Romeo 12 Zulu we start the descent. In LNAV VNAV we check all the steps, we go down to the minimum of category C 285, go around straight ahead to Fox Romeo 510, then left turn to 512, then disto, and then basically we go to the rating holding at 3,600. That's as well something you will not brief. I never brief the whole go around because I will never remember. If my first officer bring me all this, brief me for all this, what will you remember? Will you remember the speed restrictions there, the inbound course there? No, what is important? Straight ahead 5 miles, left turn. That's all you need. Then you can go in your chart. Okay, so we are ready. We are at 4,500 feet. And now ATC will tell us to descend 3,600 feet, 1019. So 3,600. QNH is 1019. And we go down, sorry, to 3,600. Now we are going to prepare the FMC. And in the meantime, I can answer your question. Both engine fed on final, yeah. We'll try that if we have time. Any way to allow the 737-700 to do this scenario? Yes, the scenario will be released tonight, and it's available on Phoenix. It's available on PMDG 737, 6, 7, 8, and 9, so the 4 737, and as well the Mad Dog MD-82, and as well any aircraft that can fly climb to flight level 230, so you can go ahead and fly it on any PMDG, no problem. Alright, here we go. So we are reaching 3600 and we are going to program the box. So departure arriving. We want the RNP Zulu, runway 12. And the transition we don't need. Execute. Now what we need is to put the first waypoint. Let's put Fox Romeo, or here it's ER12 Zulu on top. Execute. Alright. Now we have a problem. As you can see right there, we do not have a top of descent. If I go progress page, you can see that I do not get a top of descent. So what we need to do here is just go to the cruise page and put 3600. So we tell the FMC this is my actual altitude. Execute. And now we have the top of descent. Perfect. Now we are going to set our speed. That's correct. 3141. The auto brake should be set by FSiPanel. We have flaps 30. We can arm. This is already armed. Perfect. And the nav setting, we have the VOR that we don't really need. And basically we are all set. Okay. So now we are all set for this RNP approach. We expect the aircraft to start descend. And we will fly that approach. Do you see any problem already? Because we are going to fly it as per the book, and here it's a demonstration that I do to my trainee, and they get surprised. So maybe because you saw me planning it, you probably saw what's gonna happen. But if you're not behind the control, if you're not behind FSiPanel, you will not see it coming. So play the game, we fly the approach, and you let me know whenever you see something wrong. So what is there? Christian, he says, I think the error is already clear as you set in the weather to somebody like 990. Correct. Exactly. So here the problem is we have a QNH, we understood wrong, or the ATC was tired, or the transmission was not good, and the QNH on the airport is 9er. Okay, if we check that here, well, I think it was 9er. Let me check that. Yeah, 9er. But we have set 1019er. We are tired, or ATC is tired. We didn't check the ATIS, complacency, whatever you want. We do a mistake. Either the pilot is doing the mistake, either the ATC is doing the mistake. So this is why if you have a paper and you have your META or you have your ATIS and the ATIS says QNH1 9er, and the ATC tells you QNH 1005, something is wrong. Especially if you're flying anything else than an ILS approach. Okay, so we will see what happens if now we fly that with the 7.3. Do you expect that we catch up? I'll let you tell me. If I put this for you guys, this RNP DME, do you expect that we will see the mistake? Tell me, what do you think? Are we going to see the mistake? Are we going to see that mistake? We have everything. We have the distance to the runway. We have LNAV, VNAV. We have a nice line in front of us. And I'm just trying to show you, to tell you, is it important to have this chart with DME distance and everything? Because every instructor will tell you, monitor every step. 10 miles, 9 miles, 8 miles, 7 miles. And if you don't do it, then you get a negative point. So let me show you what happened now, and I hope you will remember that. All right, so we are ready. I'm going to take the control. LNAV, VNAV, and we set the minimum. So minimum is around 400 feet. We are in LNAV and VNAV, so the aircraft will start to descend. And now remember, the distance we check is based on, as you can see on your screen, distance to the runway. Okay, so we are not checking this distance. This is completely wrong. On the AirNav approach, we check the distance to the runway. So that will show up right there. So this is what we want to do. So now the aircraft, as we are passing Fox Romeo, this waypoint here, she will start the frontal descent. And then we are going to see what happened. Okay, top of descent is there, we are reaching there, and the first DME that we can check is 10 miles. You see on your chart 10 miles 3450. So let's see that. It's very slow, huh? Because we're already at VRF. But now we will start finally the descent. Here we go. So at 10 miles, 3450. So let's see that. 10 miles, 3450. Perfect. 9 miles, 3110. So 3 miles, 9 miles, sorry, 3110. Nine miles, 3110, perfect. Now we continue the approach. 8 miles, 2770. 8 miles from the runway right there, 2770. Let's see what happened. Here you are perfect, you are tired, you're coming to a rainy place. 8 miles and you say perfectly on spot, continue. We are looking very good. Next, 7 miles, 2430. It's the best approach you can do. It's all automatic. Now we are going to set missed approach altitude 3600. And she is good. Yeah. And we continue. 7 miles, 2430. Perfect. 6 miles, 2090. Landing checklist, engine start switches continues. The speed brake is arm, landing gear is down, flaps 30, green light. All good. 6 miles, 2090. Now imagine you are in IMC. There is heavy rain showers there, but we are in IMC and we continue the descent. 6 miles, perfectly on spot. 5 miles, 1750. So at 5 miles, 1750. Five miles, 1750. Perfect. 4 miles from there again, 1410. Now you get the first warning. 1000. Why do we have 1000 over the sea and we are flying 1500 feet? Now if we don't catch up, we continue. 4 miles, 1410. And as the aircraft is in landing configuration and you are within the airport, you will not get a pull up, and this is where it's dangerous. So we are continuing down 3 miles, and when I do that, sorry, with the trainee, I put very marginal weather to the minimum. So imagine they will see the runway at the minimum, which is 390 feet on this approach. 3 miles, perfectly on spot. 2 miles, 730. And here they continue the approach. Everything looks good. And now you see the problem. We are going to crash. So let's go around. Go around. Toga. Flaps 15. Set go around thrust. Positive rate. Gear up. $400 feet. LNAV. LNAV is engaged. Command. N1 LNAV MCP speed. Bug up. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps up. Speed 220. Flaps up. No light after takeoff checklist. 1000 to level off. Alt acquired, and we are flying the go around, the missed approach. We track the speed brake and we do the after takeoff checklist. So this was to demonstrate the problem. Here we are not even maintaining the right altitude. Now if I go to the correct QNH, which is 9er, you can see that I have actually 600 feet. It's about 30 feet, 27 feet per hectopascal. So we were 1019, so that's 20 times 3, we're about 600 too low, as somebody said here on the chat. Exactly, somebody said we are 500 feet too low, and that's exactly what happened. And this is how you can basically fly the aircraft down, even though the system doesn't tell you anything. Everything looks good, you do your check, you do your distance DME, and at the end you end up crashing the airplane or having the contact. And the problem, you saw it yourself, as we are in the landing configuration and we are within the airport DME, then the terrain, the AGPWS will not complain, and it will let you basically crash. You will hear probably 50, 40 or 200, 100, and then this is where you probably go around if you're awake. All right, so that was it. Should we move to short final for a landing? So I'll just bring FSiPanel. Here we go, and I'll just go on a short final for visual approach at 1100 feet, move aircraft, and we go for a final approach. So now we have the correct QNH. Let's see if she managed this. If not, I will start again or fly manually. Yeah, she's trying to, but she's got problem. We are the fuel. Okay, we're gonna end up with your whatever you said. Somebody said we should do 2-engine flame out on final. Looks like we are very close to do that. All right. So yeah, we are trying to stabilize this aircraft now, and I'm going to fly down manually and see if we can land. Everything is set. So what did you think about that kind of scenario, that kind of problem that we had today? Do you think it was nice to see it, or did you learn something? Because the idea after every stream that I will do is that you learn something about the aircraft, whatever aircraft is we are flying, and that you can try the same scenario yourself and enjoy it. So let me know what you think in the comments. Was it okay? Did you learn something? I'm very happy to give me feedbacks, what you want to see, and I'm ready to do the stream for you next time. It might be another training scenario, or if you want to see something in particular, I'm very happy to do it at the end of the stream where you can fly it. We can do random approach. So anything you want, I'm here for you guys. So I'll be very happy to show you that. Here we come for landing, 2 and 2, all set. And we are very short on fuel. This is why we have the warning. And we are going to kill an engine now. So we are killing engine number 1. And the engine is gone. Right, engine fail at thrust. And now rudder to the right. And we continue. We are visual. 3 red checked. Coordinated flight. Check your speed. Coming down on the profile.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And now I'm aiming for the best kiss landing possible. Here we go. Single engine, and we will stop on the runway, and that's it. Here we go. Let's bring the aircraft to a complete stop. Parking brake is set, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me see the last questions I have here. Thank you very much. I see you learned something. Thank you, Holger, Christian, Roy Van Ken, Squawk, thank you very much. Gard, Paul Knowles, I learned that I have to learn, extremely interesting. There is a lot of things that you can see and that we can go in depth. Of course, flying this scenario will let you get proficient with the ATC, with some basic navigation. And then if you want to practice something more tricky like we did today, then you can easily repeat exactly what I've done. I will put the not the snapshot, but the pilot waypoint in the Discord channel in the coming days. So you will be able to basically fly the exact same thing that we flew today and see if you can reproduce it. Yeah, I hope you will do it. Which controller? Any plans for a web-based remote front and that can be used on a second computer? So yes, I just heard that there is a software. You can see that on my Discord channel. I think it's called, I don't remember the name. I don't want to say something wrong, but there is a software that allows FSiPanel to be run on any device, Android or the iPad. Somebody mentioned it and it's working 100%. You just have to install it on your PC or on your iPad. It's free of charge. And then you have basically the same screen as FSiPanel, but on your iPad. So that's possible. Which controller do I use? I have the Airbus Thrustmaster, and I had to do a special setup for the 737. The way you seamlessly knot the procedures together is admirable. Thank you, Paul. This is something you can find in another stream, detailed, humble, and somehow easy to understand for none. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind. All your comments, I'm very happy, guys. I was stressing a lot for this first stream because of the technical part, not on the aircraft, but the technical part of the stream, switching the screens and be able to run everything smoothly. So you helped me a lot, and you helped me as well when we had the issue in the beginning with the weather not showing. So thanks a lot for that. Thank you very much. It was worth a minute. Thanks, Christian. And but bring us the ATC that works in the same way as the FSiPanel scenario, please. Well, that's very complicated. I was thinking about this ATC that are with AI. I personally doubt a lot about it, but let's see when it's coming, because it's difficult to predict what you will get and other traffic. And this scenario, you have very special. They are made to challenge you. So basically, if the flight will be A to B without any malfunction, and right now I'm not doing malfunctions, but A to B without any change of route or runway closure, then it's going to be just a VATSIM flight. But here, what I try to bring every time, and you see it in the lesson plan, is something that makes you think about the aircraft or makes you think about what's happening. So that's the reason. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for this. Thank you guys very much, Bejo, Jeff. I probably forget some of you, but it was very nice to have you on the stream. And I will let you know on the Discord channel when is the next one, and I will take into account what you said. So maybe we're gonna try something on the Phoenix next time, and as well we will do some circling approach, as this is as well very interesting to do. And let's see what comes to my mind, and it always be the same kind of stream. Thank you for watching, guys. And if you didn't subscribe yet to the channel, please do it. It will help me a lot. Thanks a lot, guys. And I see you very soon for another stream. And again, thanks for being here and for participating. That was priceless for me to have all your comments. And you helped me a lot. And you were right when we did the malfunction all together. So speak to you soon and stay safe. Wish you a very nice night. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.